Highlander, The Immortal Legacy of the MacLeods by Andries below.
Screaming, howling, fervently, blood on ancient stones, echoes of a warrior's cry. Bones beneath the throne, castles shrouded in mist, ghosts of battles past, legacy carved in granite, legends built to last. Burning eyes in the night, neath eternal light. Shadows dance with the flame. Highlands scream their name. Steel clashing in the dark, warriors rise and fall. Echoes in the cold wind, answering the call. Ancestors whisper low, secrets lost in time. History.
Episode 6, A Father's Last Battle. The morning sun cast long shadows through the Highland mist as Duncan MacLeod drove his old Land Rover into the village. After the ritual with Cassandra, his mortal frame needed time to recover. But life's simple necessities couldn't wait. The grocery list in Anna's handwriting still hung on their refrigerator, a small reminder of normal life before Jupiter's arrival had shattered their world. As he loaded bags into the back of the vehicle, his warrior's instincts, dulled but not destroyed by mortality, screamed a warning. The parking lot had emptied suddenly, leaving him alone among the parked cars.
You've grown careless in your mortality, old friend.
Jupiter's voice carried across the empty lot.
Time was you'd never have let me get this close.
Duncan turned slowly, his hands empty of weapons. His katana lay in its sheath beneath the driver's seat, just out of reach.
Or perhaps I knew you'd come.
He replied, his voice steady despite his racing heart.
You always did prefer an ambush to a fair fight.
Jupiter emerged from between two vehicles, his English broadsword already drawn.
Fair? Was it fair when you took everything from me during the Inquisition? When you destroyed centuries of carefully built influence?
His cruel smile returned.
Besides, your concept of fair died with your immortality.
Then let's end this here.
Duncan said, his eyes scanning for witnesses.
Just you and me.
Oh, but where's the poetry in that?
Jupiter moved closer, his blade catching the morning light.
I want your son to watch your life force drain. I want him to know the pain of losing everything, just as you once made me lose everything.
He reached into Duncan's jacket pocket, removing his phone.
Let's invite him to the party, shall we?
Duncan lunged then, his mortal speed still impressive for his age, but Jupiter was faster. The broadsword's pommel struck his temple, sending him sprawling. Through blurred vision, Duncan watched as Jupiter made the call.
Jacob, your father would like to see you. The old warehouse district. Come quickly. Mortality can be so fragile.
He ended the call with a laugh. Duncan pushed himself to his feet, blood trickling down his face.
You want to fight, Jupiter? Then fight me, now.
Finally showing some spirit.
Duncan dove for his vehicle, pulling his katana free just in time to parry Jupiter's first real strike. Steel rang against steel as the two warriors danced across the empty lot. Duncan's centuries of experience flowed through his mortal muscles, making up for what age and mortality had taken from him.
You still move well,
Jupiter admitted, pressing his attack.
But you're not what you are. Every breath costs you now. Every movement brings you closer to exhaustion.
He was right. Duncan could feel his mortal body betraying him, muscles burning, lungs straining for air. But he fought on, each movement calculated, each strike designed not to win but to learn, to understand Jupiter's patterns, his weaknesses, the knowledge his son would need. The sound of approaching vehicles made Jupiter smile.
Right on time.
Duncan saw Jacob and Mythos in his peripheral vision, running toward them. In that moment of distraction, Jupiter's blade found its mark, sliding between his ribs with surgical precision.
No!
Jacob's cry echoed across the lot. Jupiter withdrew his blade with a flourish, already backing away.
The student arrives to find the teacher fallen. How perfectly tragic.
His laughter carried back as he disappeared between the buildings.
Come find me when you're ready to join him, young MacLeod.
Jacob reached his father first, cradling him as blood spread across Duncan's chest.
Hold on, father. We'll get help.
No time.
Duncan gasped, his weathered hand gripping his son's arm.
Listen carefully.
His eyes locked with Jacob's, burning with intensity.
I fought him, learned his patterns. He favors his right side. Old wound from the Inquisition. Strikes high, leaves his left exposed. But most importantly,
Duncan's breath grew ragged.
he fears you, fears what you've become, what the Source made possible.
Mythos knelt beside them, his ancient eyes grave.
Save your strength, MacLeod.
No,
Duncan insisted.
Jacob needs to know, needs to understand. Jupiter's pride, his hatred, they make him predictable. Use that.
His grip on Jacob's arm tightened.
Remember everything I taught you, everything I was. But be who you are. That's what he can't understand.
Father, please.
Jacob's voice broke. Duncan's eyes grew distant, seeing perhaps the Highland hills of his youth, or Anna waiting beyond the veil.
There can be only one.
He whispered.
Make it count, my son.
His hand fell away from Jacob's arm as the last breath left his mortal body. The Highland mist seemed to thicken around them, as if the very land mourned the passing of Duncan MacLeod. Jacob held his father's body, tears falling freely, while Mythos stood watch. Both knew that Jupiter would return, expecting grief to weaken them. But in Jacob's heart, something else was growing, a determination tempered by loss, a strength forged in sacrifice, and an understanding of exactly what needed to be done. The game had changed, and Jupiter would soon learn what it meant to face a MacLeod who carried not just the power of the Source, but the legacy of both mortality and immortality in his veins. Highlander, the Immortal Legacy of the MacLeods. Video and voice done with Infinity AI. Research done using Claude AI.